Hello and welcome back to AMVlog. I'm Rayu, and for the next couple of videos I'm going to be covering a very important topic, and this is how to improve the video quality of your footage. And for this video, the topic I'm specifically going to tackle is frame rate. Now, in a nutshell, frame rate is basically the images that compose your footage. Basically, each second of your footage is composed of a certain amount of images that, when they're played, create the illusion of movement. That's frame rate. Now, when we're talking about animation, any type of animation, no matter from what company, is always going to have 24 frames per second. If we want to be precise, it's going to be 23.976 frames per second. But for short, it's just going to be 24 frames per second. So that basically means, take for example this video clip, that's 1 full second. If we break down that video, it's going to be made up of 24 individual images. So this is frame rate. And this is very important to know, since some of the most popular settings out there aren't just 24 frames per second, they can be 25, up to 30 frames per second or more. This basically means that you can alter the amount of frames you have per second of your footage. Now normally this is a bad thing, since when you alter the amount of frames you have per second, you get what's called a ghosting image. Take for example this very same clip that I just played. This clip has 24 frames per second. Let's say I render it to 30 frames per second. Instead of having 24 frames, my software is going to have to recreate or generate 6 new frames. And basically the images it creates aren't original images. They're basically 2 frames combined to 1 and make one picture. And that's where you get what's called a ghosting image, like this. Now, you don't really need a bionic eye to see that this looks pretty bad. For that reason, we want to make sure that our settings, no matter what software we're using, has the same frame rates as the footage that we're using. In order to fix this, what we're going to do, inside Sony Vegas, we're going to go here to our property settings, and we're going to open it, go right here where it says frame rate. Right here we're going to drop down the window and look specifically for our 24 frames per second. We can actually choose 24 frames per second here, or we can actually pick 23.976 frames per second. Either one's fine, since they're practically the same thing. Now, this is going to depend a lot on how you encode or convert the video. Make sure whenever you encode it or you convert the video that you specify that the frame rate, which would be 23.976 frames or just 24 frames per second. Now, make sure you don't confuse, in case you're downloading your anime, whenever you download a video where it says 720p or 1080p, that's not the frame rate, that's the field, and that's a topic for an entirely different video. So make sure that whenever you encode your video, you encode it with a proper frame rate. In case you've already converted your video, but you're not sure what frame rate it has, just right click the video, go where properties, and right here go where it says general. Down here where it says source, look at video, and kind of scroll down a bit and look for where it says FPS, which is frame rate per second. The number beside it is the amount of frames you have. In this case right here it's 24 frames per second. So that's an easy way to find out. So we're going to press OK. And we're basically ready to start editing. However, we're not quite done yet. If you're going to be masking specifically, there's something you need to do with your video clip, and that's disable the resample. And this is basically a feature that any software has where it creates kind of a fade effect from one frame to the next. This makes it very smooth whenever you play it. However, it gets in the way whenever you're going to mask, because if you can see this example of the clip, you can see from one frame to the next, there's just one frame where it's kind of fading in between both of them. It makes it really hard to mask whenever it's like this. To work around this, what we're going to do, we're going to click again, right click on the video clip, scroll to properties, and where it says video event, look for where it says disable resample. Click that box, press OK, and you're set to go. As far as frame rate goes, you're ready and everything's been done. So this should pretty much cover it in case you're going to be masking or just to preserve the quality of your video. Now it's time to see some of the questions that you have posted on the videos. The first question I have here is from Aisha Reyes, and her question is, can we render in like Windows Movie Video or an MPEG-4 and import it instead of using a QuickTime video? You know, really what I've seen that works best for me is a QuickTime video. I can't import an MPEG-4, much less a WMV, but I have seen other editors import that inside Photoshop, but my guess is they have the proper codecs for it. So if you have those codecs, I say go for it. If not, your best bet is a QuickTime video or an MOV, since that's what Photoshop really works best with. As for which version of Photoshop I have a CS5, and it works pretty good on my computer. Another comment that I have here is from Zalas Girl, and it asks, yes, Zalas, I can serenade if I want to totally humiliate myself on YouTube. So I guess we can save that for a later video. And another comment from Trevor is, can I turn a whole clip pink and shoot a bunch of flowers out of people's mouth? The truth is, yes I can, but I won't do it, not for this video. I'll save that one for later, Trevor. But with that in mind, I guess we've come to the end of our video. It's been a kind of long video, and I'm glad if you've stuck around till this point. Keep in mind, if you have any other questions, please post them on this video, and I'll be sure to cover them in the next video. Thank you, and have a good day.